Bathed in the gentle light of day, Esther sits quietly in her worn armchair, a Bible open on her lap, her world steeped in quiet contemplation. Breaking the silence, Deborah enters, her arms laden with groceries, a beacon of familial duty amidst the stillness. Esther greets her daughter with warmth, her voice soft with age as she seeks reassurance for her basic needs. "Hello, dear." With a hint of urgency, Esther asks, "Did you bring the money for my essentials?" In the hallowed halls of the church, Esther's voice ascends with theatrical piety during the hymn. Her devotion, seemingly a carefully crafted performance, fills the sacred space with unwavering conviction. A few pews back, Deborah observes Esther, her eyes reflecting a sorrowful skepticism. In Deborah's gaze, skepticism and sorrow intertwine. Amidst the vibrant chaos of the grocery store, Deborah foots the bill for Esther's groceries, while Esther simmers with ill-concealed impatience. In a moment of unfiltered exasperation, Esther laments, "Honestly, Deborah, these prices are outrageous. You wouldn't believe what they're charging for tomatoes these days. It's simply highway robbery. One can barely afford to live." The fluorescent lights of the grocery store glint off the products, underscoring the exorbitant prices that fuel Esther's disdain. Under the stark glare of a single light, Esther sits hunched over her kitchen table, meticulously counting her money. Her lips move silently as she counts each bill, consumed by a growing sense of discontent. With barely concealed resentment, Esther speaks into the phone. "Hi, sweetheart. It's me. You won't believe what Deborah gave me. Practically nothing. She's getting so stingy in her old age, I tell you." In Deborah's sun-drenched living room, unspoken anxieties hang heavy as she faces her daughter, Sarah. Deborah's voice quivers with despair as she confesses, "I just don't know what to do anymore, Sarah. Mother's spending is completely out of control." Sarah reassures her mother with a gentle offer. "It's okay, Mom. I can help. How about I take over managing her finances?" Relief washes over Deborah as she asks hopefully, "Really? Would you do that? I'd be so grateful." With unwavering resolve, Sarah promises, "Of course. It's the least I can do." "Well, get it sorted." Sarah walks into Esther's apartment, where a storm of fury rages within Esther herself. Esther's voice cracks like thunder as she accuses, "So, Sarah, you're the one handling the bills now?" Sarah attempts to calm the brewing storm, explaining, "Yes, Esther. Deborah asked me to help out." Esther's resentment boils over as she exclaims, "Deborah! It always comes back to Deborah. She thinks him incapable, doesn't she?" Sarah's gentle reassurance, "That's not true, Esther. She just thought it would be easier with someone helping," falls on deaf ears. Esther explodes with defiance. "Easier for whom?" "For her. So she can control everything from behind the scenes?" "I'm not a child. I can manage my own money." Esther shuffles along the sidewalk, each step measured with practiced deliberation, weaving a tapestry of woe for any ear that will listen. With practiced ease, Esther's voice rises and falls, recounting tales of poverty and neglect, each word a brushstroke painting a portrait of her suffering. Her narrative, carefully crafted and laced with exaggeration, portrays a life of dire poverty and heartless abandonment by her own kin. Sunlight floods Esther's cramped apartment, casting a harsh light on the confrontation between Sarah and Esther. Sarah, resolute, confronts Esther with a piercing accusation. "Esther, I know you've been lying to the neighbors." Esther recoils, her face contorted with indignation as she retorts, "Disrespectful. That's what you are. Disrespectful." The church bells resonate, their solemn sound echoing through the hallowed halls as sunlight filters through the stained glass windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Amidst the quiet congregation, Esther's face contorts in a spectacle of purported religious fervor, her plea piercing the reverent silence. With eyes tightly shut, Esther fervently cries out, "Oh Lord, hear my plea. Bless this family, even though they are so ungrateful." Discomfort ripples through the pews as the other parishioners exchange uneasy glances, their unease palpable in the sacred space. In the dim confines of her apartment, Esther sits cloaked in shadow, the television's flickering light revealing a rare glimpse of vulnerability. The mask of cunning momentarily slips, revealing Esther's face etched with raw, undeniable unhappiness. In Deborah's dimly lit kitchen, Long shadows dance as Deborah and Sarah face each other, an atmosphere of unspoken tension filling the room. Deborah nervously fiddles with a sugar packet, her inner turmoil palpable as she confesses, "I don't know what to do, Sarah. I feel so torn." Sarah's simple question, "About Esther?" cuts through the silence, hinting at the complex relationship at the heart of Deborah's struggle. With palpable emotion, Deborah admits, "Yes, she's my mother, but sometimes I just can't stand her behavior." Sunlight pierces through the chaos of half-packed boxes, illuminating the stark reality. Esther declares an end to their shared life. With a voice trembling with resolve, Esther proclaims, "I'm moving out. I can't live with you anymore. You're wicked." Sarah's world crumbles as she hears the unexpected verdict, her face etched with disbelief and dawning despair. In a moment of desperate pleading, Sarah cries out, "What? Esther, you know I can't afford this place on my own." Amidst the city's relentless hum, Esther's voice pierces through the noise, her words painting a vivid picture of betrayal and despair. With impassioned fervor, Esther cries out, "They treat me so badly, Deborah and Sarah. It's just awful, the way they carry on." The faces of the passers-by reflect a mix of curiosity and concern, drawn in by Esther's heartfelt plea amidst the city's indifference. In Esther's cluttered apartment, sunlight pours in, illuminating the tense confrontation between Sarah and Esther. Sarah's face is a mask of fury and betrayal, as she accuses Esther, "You lied to me." Esther retorts with chilling calmness, defending her actions with a cold assertion, "All this time, you've been lying." Esther offers a chilling justification. "People are always lying or they chat too much." Bathed in the gentle morning light, Deborah and Sarah meet, their hearts heavy with worry over Esther's troubling behavior. Deborah's voice trembles as she confesses her fears. "I'm just so worried about her, Sarah. She's been acting out more and more lately." Sarah echoes Deborah's apprehension, admitting, "I know, dear. It's been weighing heavily on my heart as well." In a moment of quiet resolve, Deborah clings to faith, declaring, "We have to keep praying for her, that God will guide her back to the right path." United in their spiritual plea, Sarah joins Deborah, affirming, "Yes, Deborah, let's pray that He will change her wicked ways and fill her heart with goodness." Alone in her apartment, Esther sits cloaked in a heavy silence, her face a canvas of sullen discontent. In a moment of quiet bitterness, Esther mutters, "They're so ungrateful." Bathed in the moon's ethereal glow, Deborah is shrouded in a cloak of solitude, her tears a testament to the heavy burden of guilt. Each tear is a silent scream, a desperate plea echoing in the stillness of the night, as Deborah confronts the crushing weight of her mother's plight. In the quiet darkness, Deborah's guilt becomes a tangible presence, suffocating her with the unspoken weight of responsibility. In the hushed stillness of her bedroom, Sarah kneels in desperate prayer, her plea a fragile whisper in the dimly lit space. Bathed in the gentle glow of a bedside lamp, her earnest expression is etched with worry as she softly pleads, "Please, let Grandma be okay." Long shadows dance across the walls, mirroring the uncertainty that grips her heart. Sarah stumbles into Esther's apartment, her arms straining under the weight of grocery bags, but Esther remains detached, lost in her own world. Esther's sharp words cut through the silence, revealing her dissatisfaction as she questions, "Is that all you could find? The selection was abysmal, I presume." The weight of the bags and Esther's words compound Sarah's weariness, creating a palpable tension in the small apartment. Sunlight spills through stained glass windows, casting colorful shadows across the rows of empty pews in the silent church. The voices of the choir rise in a hymn, their melodies echoing in the vast, empty space. Yet Esther's absence weighs heavily in the air. Esther's absence resonates, amplifying the silence and hinting at a hidden disquiet beneath the hymn's comforting notes. Inside Esther's modest apartment, Deborah's attempts at conversation are met with cold indifference. Esther pointedly avoids Deborah's gaze, her posture a fortress of silent rejection. Esther's sharp words cut through the silence. "You're heartless, Deborah." In the dead of night, Deborah's haunted sleep turns her room into a canvas of dread, where moonlight paints eerie, distorted shadows. Trapped in a nightmare, Deborah writhes in her bed, her face glistening with a cold sweat as unseen horrors grip her. The room is filled with an unsettling stillness, save for Deborah's tormented movements, each shadow a silent witness to her terror. In the sterile confines of a hospital room, Esther lies frail and pale, her breath a whisper against the silence, their faces etched with worry. Deborah and Sarah step into the room, their hearts heavy with love and apprehension. As Deborah and Sarah approach, the emotional weight of the moment fills the air, each step echoing unspoken fears and hopes. The sterile white of the hospital room amplifies the tension, as Esther looms over Deborah and Sarah, her face a mask of disdain. Esther's cold gaze conveys a storm of suppressed emotion. The scene unfolds, as the silence in the room becomes a suffocating presence. In the sterile hospital room, a single ray of sunlight pierces through, illuminating Esther's face as she steels herself for a life-altering announcement. With unwavering resolve etched across her features, Esther firmly declares, "I am moving out." The room hangs in suspended silence as Esther's decisive words echo, signifying the dawn of a new chapter. Sunlight floods the hospital room, casting a radiant glow upon a scene of quiet intimacy. Deborah sits vigilantly by Esther's bedside, her tender touch conveying a depth of unspoken emotion. In a hushed declaration, Deborah whispers, "I love you, no matter what." Esther lies still, her eyes closed as she absorbs Deborah's words. Sunlight floods the hospital room, where silence amplifies the weight of unspoken prayers. Sarah kneels beside the bed, her silent devotion a stark contrast to Esther's still, pale figure. Esther lies motionless, her pallid face a canvas of fragility against the sterile white of the pillow. In the sterile confines of the hospital room, Esther's gaze drifts aimlessly towards the ceiling, swallowed by a sea of introspection. The silence of the hospital room amplifies Esther's isolation, as she navigates the labyrinth of her own thoughts. Lost in a silent world of her own making, Esther confronts the echoes of unspoken words and unresolved emotions. A doctor enters the hospital room, bringing a sense of professional calm. The doctor approaches Esther, their presence a silent promise of care and attention. The quiet examination begins, a delicate dance of expertise and empathy in the sterile environment. In the dimly lit hospital room, Deborah and Sarah vigilantly watch over Esther, as shadows perform a silent ballet on the walls. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor cuts through the silence, a stark reminder of life's fragile hold. Bathed in the pale glow, Esther lies still, her fate hanging in the balance, as Deborah and Sarah share a look of quiet desperation. Bathed in soft sunlight, Esther rests in the sterile hospital room, a glimmer of recovery gracing her face. Whispering with remorse, Esther softly pleads, "I'm sorry." With a fragile voice, she requests, "Can you forgive me?" Sunlight spills into the hospital room, casting a gentle glow as Deborah grasps Esther's hand, seeking reconciliation. In a moment of heartfelt vulnerability, Deborah whispers, "Esther, we were so angry, but we understand now. We forgive you." Softening with empathy, Sarah echoes Deborah's sentiment. "Yes, Esther, we both do. It's time to let go of the past." As tensions dissolve, the room fills with a quiet resolve to embrace forgiveness and healing. Inside the sterile hospital room, Esther's lips curve into a smile, a beacon of hope in the sterile environment. Esther's return to her apartment marks a profound shift, her gratitude radiating through the once familiar space. The apartment, once a battleground of demands, now echoes with a newfound serenity. The subtle transformation in Esther's demeanor underscores a journey from discontent to appreciation. Sunlight paints the church in radiant hues, where Esther's voice joins a chorus of praise, her spirit soaring with unwavering faith. Amid the sacred space, Esther's voice rises, a beacon of hope and joy, blending seamlessly with the congregation's harmonious voices. A genuine smile illuminates Esther's face, reflecting a deep-seated joy that resonates through every note she sings. In Deborah's home, faces glow softly under the warm light, as laughter dances through the air. Stories and memories intertwine, creating an atmosphere of serenity and peace. A quiet testament to the peace they have discovered, filling the room with a tangible sense of warmth and contentment.